Welcome to Unwinding with Support Group, a mental health podcast by licensed professionals where we discuss mental health topics from a real-world perspective, all while having a drink. So hang out, have some laughs, enjoy the ride, and maybe learn a bit. Unwinding with the Support Group, I don't know, 6, maybe something. But
11 to 12.
11 to 12. That's what we're at. But welcome to another episode. As usual, I am Arlene, and I'm an LPC. I have Bree, who works in the mental health field. Say hi, Bree.
Hello.
And I have Kelly, who's also an LPC.
Hello.
All right, I am drinking. Listen, I gave up on trying new wines for a while. I just haven't had good luck. So I'm going to my good old standby, which is the Florida Moscato, the California Sweet. It's my favorite from Salt of the Earth. So literally that's just what I'm drinking. And I just need you to know that Alex just texted that the neighbor called the police on her dog for barking at their dog.
Yup.
And that's funny. So on that note, Bree, what you got to drink today?
I'm drinking a peach Red Bull, which I do have a grime to pick because apparently I've been going to 7-Elevens and the QTs and all the other places behind me trying to find blueberry Red Bull, and come to find out they discontinued it. So basically, this barren wasteland that we're living in has just destroyed the last glimmering bit of hope that I had. So now I have peach Red Bull.
Red Bull, if you're out there listening to us by some glimmer of a chance, Bree needs the blueberry back. Okay.
The blueberry back.
I'm just saying, look, we have very limited things to look forward to in life.
I'm
And
sick.
blueberry Red Bull was hers. And the audacity of you to cut it off.
I thought
rude.
that they were just out. That they were just out. Like maybe it was because it's so good. People were just buying it up. Nope. They got rid of it. I don't even understand.
Okay, listen, the amount of times I don't understand when a company gets rid of the best fucking shit. Listen, I could argue with Taco Bell for the rest of my life. Okay. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Stop doing that to me. It's mean.
It is. It's mean.
It's unnecessary.
Red Bull, give Bree some blueberry.
So she can have blueberry wings.
Yes, please.
Wings.
All right. Kelly, what you got?
I have smart water and Coke and tequila.
Oh, nice. All right. So I know at the end of last week's episode, I said we were going to do solution-focused treatment options, and well, I've lied. I changed my mind. Is really the case. Not necessarily lied. I changed my mind, and I changed my mind based on current circumstances and situations, because I pretty much spent the last 2 weeks in therapy having a very similar conversation over and 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 over again. And so based on that, we're going to do an episode on it. And we're going to cover vicarious trauma. So before we get into this is your trigger warning. We are going to talk about current events. That's current events in the U.S. So know that if you are not in a place to listen to this at this point, please don't. As much as I enjoy you listening to us, don't do it. Go listen to, some fun music instead. I don't know. Take a shower. Be like Bree, make a blanket. I don't know. Do something. Don't do this. If you are not in a place where you can listen to us discuss current events and the trauma they're causing, please, please, please do not. If you have stuck around, we appreciate it, and we are going to discuss that. So, on that note, what is vicarious trauma? Well, it is, vicarious. No, what it is, it's an emotional, physical, or a cognitive shift that occurs usually in professionals. So generally therapists, first responders, think of that. Or now we're going to talk about the general populace. So, you guys, after repeatedly witnessing or hearing or reading, watching, others' traumatic experiences. So, for example, watching videos of someone get assassinated on the street, reading the Epstein files, um, watching police brutality videos over and over and over again. These are good examples of vicarious trauma you can get because someone else lived it, but you are reading it or you are watching the clips over and over again. Symptoms are similar to PTSD: nightmares, intrusive thoughts, hypervigilance, emotional numbness. It can change your worldview, more cynical, feeling hopeless, fatigue, insomnia, headaches, changes in appetite, physical illness, trouble concentrating, uh, the thoughts of others' trauma, right? Social withdrawal, more substance use, or substance use at all, right? Um, Persistent feelings of anxiety, guilt, anger, sadness, or feeling numb. And we will discuss the difference between what is like anger that you're feeling, vicarious anger, and what is like an appropriate anger response due to circumstances happening. Those things. And those are the things we're going to talk about. I'm not going to get too much in the professional piece and how it impacts professionally because we're not going to talk about it unnecessarily how it impacts us professionally because that's not the take I want to have this time around. Not at all. So, having now given the solid definition, ladies, where we want to go?
I think, excuse me, that in all honesty, I think that I would like to start with normalizing the fact that it is absolutely 100% okay to be affected by these things because they are outside the realm of what we would consider to be natural human experience, in so much as we have not dealt with anything like this in our lifetime for the most part. You know, there are a lot of people who are alive that have lived through the civil rights movement and who have experienced, that kind of violence. And I'm not trying to diminish that, but when I'm thinking more along the lines of like the Epstein files at this point, and just the amount of information coming out about sex trafficking is unusual. We knew it was there. We've always known that this has been an issue, but to see it in hard copy is, I think, overwhelming would be an understatement, is where I'm going with this. And for those who have read them, it's a lot, and I have. I have read through a portion of them, and building off of that, having been and being a survivor of sexual assault myself, taking into account that a lot of the people who are being exposed to this are also probably survivors of many different types of assaults. You've got compounded trauma. So you've got vicarious trauma on top of compounding trauma. So, I mean, fuck it. Basically, it's just a whole hell of a lot coming at you all at once. And I think normalizing the way that you're feeling about it is really important.
Yeah, I do think that's important. There's a normal level of anger, frustration, sadness, outrage,
Fear,
fear, guilt,
sorrow.
yeah, sadness for sure. A lot of like these are all normal things to experience when you discover, you find out someone has experienced traumatic thing. And especially if you find out the degree to which those things are traumatic. And when we're discussing let's say for like the Epstein files and or like what happened in Minnesota most recently, like those specific events, like that is like there is a direct impact you're either seeing and or reading, and you can see the victims of this, or even in the Epstein files where they're named or they're been public, you putting faces to names, and there is tangible correlation. And so those emotions can be stronger as well, of like, okay, this is who the victim is. It's not just a random human.
Yes.
And that can make those emotions stronger. And that's a normal human response. That is the normal human response. And I think that's important to know, right? Like that is how we respond when something bad happens.
Absolutely. And I mean, moreover, and building off of that, you know, and adding into it social psychological principles of just life in general, we're stepping out of a clinical psych world into the social psych world because we're seeing, we've seen the bystander effect, which is, like in Minnesota, where they're trampling over top of that. So the bystander effect being people are not apt to do anything about it because they assume that other people will do something about what's going on. People are actually standing up and overriding that and doing things to protect other people, which is fantastic. But they're also putting themselves at risk in doing that. And I think that that is remarkable. But we're also seeing a rise in, people being hurt. But to that end, we are also recognizing that there is division, and this is something that I have noticed within my clientele and my own family, a division between people that we love and having that vicarious trauma of the infighting between families and having to listen to different viewpoints on death and all of these terrible things that have happened to people. And a lot of these viewpoints, and I'm trying to be delicate here, are not always very kind as to who deserved what. And it gets very painful. And I mean, I'm trying to find the best way that I know how to say some of the things because it's really hard to say them in a way that is, you know, without just coming out right and saying that some people think that this is okay and some people do not. And that's just the bottom line. Some people think certain things are okay and some people do not. And then you're kind of trying to figure out where you fall in between that. And you're trying to figure out, okay, where do I draw the line for myself? Because I am being vicariously traumatized through all of this, but now I'm also on social media having to deal with, Uncle Bob, who thinks that all of this is acceptable. And I loved my Uncle Bob, but I never knew he had a heart like this, you know, and that right there is traumatizing too. And I think that's a very important thing to discuss as well, because that is also traumatizing because families are being divided.
Bree, what you got? Any thoughts so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is interesting to see kind of what certain events bring out of people. It brings out sides that like maybe you should have known were there, but were in like hiding, Even just current administrative administration has brought out sides of people that seemed to be hidden before. But it is interesting to see just kind of the subsequent trauma that comes from anything that's been happening lately. I feel like there's every time you turn around, there's something catastrophic going on. And yeah, seeing the way I really like that you brought that up, Kelly, of like what it's doing to families specifically, because these are people that you expected to be in your life forever. And now it's something that a lot of families they're really struggling from and having to kind of rebuild what their life is going to look like for the next forever.
Yeah. No, that is a hard part of this. And it's a reality on a personal level, for a lot of people. For a lot of people. I think when I think about this, right, like I think recently the more of the conversations I've had with my clients about walking away and setting things down have really come down around like the last info dump from the Epstein files, right? Now I know there's fuckloads more that they haven't released, and we're not going to get into whether they will or won't or blah, blah, blah. But it's the level of detail, the level of trauma that is in these files, like the specific acts that were occurred and discussed, like ordering a hamburger, like, a normal daily occurrence in these files. And when you consume that content, even if you don't have trauma, it can leave an impact on you because you are reading things that some unwell people, some very unwell people have done. These acts that aren't, they're just not great. They're not good. I don't even have words for the things in there. Um, and so being able to recognize that this is now something that is in your head, something you now know, right? Like you had a concept, these were shitty people. You had a concept, like you knew, oh, hey, they were doing trafficking, they were raping women, they were doing these things with children, with under, with minors, with girls. But there's a difference between like a concept and now being in black and white and you're consuming that.
Yeah.
And the details that come with that. It's an entire different emotional experience that now lives with you. And that is the impact. And I understand the desire that someone needs to pay because that's what I heard for 2 weeks straight. They need to pay. They're reading it. I'm reading it because they need to be held accountable. And I don't disagree. However, we as the general public are not the ones ultimately probably going to hold them accountable in a legal sense, because that's what that means. We mean accountability in a legal sense, right? And while I think public information is important, I don't believe we all should be consuming this. I don't think it's good for us en masse. And that's because of how I look at how this is going to have such a long-standing traumatic impact on everybody who has read it. You're not going to view the world the same. You just can't. You just can't. Do I believe someone should be reading this and holding them accountable? 7,000%. Should it be me in my bed at night? Oh, fuck no. Also, why it hasn't been me. Because I have enough vicarious trauma to last a motherfucking lifetime. I don't need no more. Uh, Also, I know they're shitty people, and I'm good with that. I've accepted that. We can move along for myself. And I recognize that the impact this is going to have, specifically the Epstein files at this point. And we can get into like shootings and executions that pop up on my fucking social media on a regular basis anymore. But these things are going to have an impact because they can't not.
To that end, and I go back to social psychology because that was my bread and butter before I became a therapist. I want to name drop Rubia Garcia, doctor of jurisprudence. I love
She's name dropping.
I am. She's lovely. I follow her on Facebook, and she does a 24 and 24, 24 headlines in 24 hours for a specific reason. And the reason is because it's designed to flood information to us, to overwhelm us and break us down. And I think a lot of the things that are going on with the release of the Epstein files and the things that are happening with ICE is ultimately to break us down mentally and emotionally like that as well. And I agree with you. If we all consume every ounce of what is released in those files, our brains would implode. And I say this as someone who has read a chunk of them, not all of them, just a chunk to the point where I had to put myself on pause and say, you know what, you are re-traumatizing yourself. Stop it, girl. What the fuck you doing? Enough. Because we can't do anything. You're right. We're not going to be the ones that put them on trial, but we are the ones that hold the people who will accountable. But we can't if we are exhausted, and we can't if we are, overwhelmed and vicariously traumatized to the point of overwhelmed outrage and overwhelmed to the nth degree where we're not thinking straight or we're not thinking clearly or we are just so traumatized by what's going on that we don't know how to refill our cups. And I think that that is the biggest point that she makes as a lawyer, but also transcends into our realm as mental health professionals is that know our limits. We need to know our limits. Can I, like at the beginning of this podcast, if you cannot handle this, please don't. That's okay. Take a break, touch grass, go touch a cat, go touch a dog, do whatever you need. That's fine. This is not the podcast for you right now, if at all. It doesn't have to be.
Also, I want to say, if you have a cat that just lets you walk up and touch them, congratulations.
Right? Like Bree did for a
Bree.
minute.
Bree's cats love her.
Definitely.
So they hunt her down. But if you have normal cats like I do, they decide when they want you.
They're like, come here, kid, 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 kid. But like, know your limits. And I think that that is something that I will actively admit that I spoke with my therapist about when Epstein files were first released. And I was like, I have to tell you something. And he was like, what? And I was like, I've been reading the Epstein list. And he was like, girl, what are you doing? And I was like, something stupid. And he's like, smacking my hand, basically, stop that. And I was like, I already have. I've already paid for it. With the mental exhaustion and the resurgence of trauma and knowing my limits and backing down because we are all better together when we can focus as a unit, is where I'm going with this, with filled cups. Because God knows, I don't know what they're doing. I'm not getting on a political rant, but we all need to be taking care of ourselves because they ain't taking care of us. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and knowing your limits, I don't know, I think it's important with us two working in the mental health field. There's a lot of times that people are going to bring in really heavy things, and to expect that it's not going to affect you to some capacity is kind of like setting yourself up for failure, you know?
Yes, yes.
There, there are really tragic things that unfortunately go on in the world. And even with like the Epstein files, it's tragic and it's something that even though we knew was an idea, I don't think a lot of people knew the extent to which things were happening, and
Hmm.
nor would you want to, because for the most part, I like to believe that people are good and want the best for others in life, you know? I mean, maybe that's a warped way of thinking, but I like to believe most people are good. And that being said, when you hear some of these wild things that are going on in people's lives, it really kind of clouds that. And being able to know when you've had enough and need to step back is really important in order for you to continue helping others or continue being a good person in your own life. And even if that's not in the mental health field, but just as a regular individual.
Yes. And there's your cat, by the way.
I
Yeah.
know. She's like, camera time.
She was like, listen, I heard you talking about me, so I've shown up.
And no, you're so right. I mean, no matter where or what you do as a human, knowing your limits and being able to step back from it is a very important thing, whatever that thing might be. Sometimes it's just hard.
It is. Um, I think it's really comes down to like, while I say you shouldn't rate them, it is really about knowing you, knowing your levels. I feel I'm like free in that way of like, I just want to, uh, it's going to cause pain and suffering. So I know that. So don't do it. Um, is really like what it is. But also, I understand. There is a want to know, a need to know. There's a feel for justice here. I get it. I understand that. So please know your limits. And you don't have to read it all.
No.
You don't have to know it all. You don't have to consume every piece of it at all. That's really important too.
And interestingly enough, or maybe interestingly enough is not the right preface, but to that end, social media plays such a huge role in this. And I just think that what you said kind of is a really good segue into you really don't have to social justice warrior with people on social media if you don't wanna. Like, this is one of those things that have come up with my clients too, where they found themselves getting into like these ongoing debates with people trying to change their minds about, and, human rights and how can you this and, about Alex Preddy or Renee Good or the Epstein files. And there are people out there that are so set in where they are. It's just that's where they're going to be. And it's like Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill only to roll back down again. Know your limit there too. Don't engage in something that is ultimately you working harder than you need to for your own mental health.
Agreed. People will change their opinion when they decide to change their opinion,
Yes.
not necessarily because you have said something to make them change. Um, we live in lots of great echo chambers because of social media. So please know, while it you may feel like you're making a dent in changing someone's mind, what often then occurs is they return to their echo chamber and they don't. So you can save yourself pain and struggle by remembering that.
Don't read the comments.
Um, so, but you do bring up something else I want to discuss about Minnesota in general. With everything that's happened there recently with ice descending upon them and not the snow and winter kind of ice, even though it's been winter. Um, First of all, the way Minnesota has rallied has been amazing to see
Yes.
them come together and do that, which is phenomenal. So I love that for them. It gives me hope. But second piece is too many times I have opened my social media to a video of someone getting murdered. Minnesota happens to be some of the latest. And the thing I think is important here is that as an individual, you do not have to watch those clips over and over again. You don't have to watch them from every angle available. You don't have to do that to honor the person, to acknowledge the situation, to be angry about the situation, to feel that you've done a service by knowing all that you can know, by watching every angle available to see all the things. You don't have to do that. And I understand the argument right now is going to be, yes, well, the truth is not being put out there. I agree. However, you can still watch one video and probably learn the truth, or you can read something from someone who's there and learn the truth. You don't have to consume every piece of it to get all of that. And that is my point. Because again, just because we have an abnormal amount of gun violence and it is often caught on video and we get that on our social media, doesn't mean we're immune to it, doesn't mean it doesn't cause trauma or vicarious trauma, it doesn't mean any of that. It's still fresh, it's still there. You still watch someone get shot, get executed, you still watch someone die. And that is important to know.
Alex Preddy's murder was very potent for me. Renee Good's was, don't get me wrong, but his was specifically potent for me for a lot of reasons. A lot of people don't know this about me, but one of my dreams was to be a war photographer, to take what I learned from social psychology and to be a war photographer. And there was a still taken that is very infamous now, that is very clear what happened and created a divisiveness between me and my family, because you can't really argue past the photograph. And it kind of, not even kind of, it was one of those moments for me where it was like, I remember thinking back to a lot of old photography from Vietnam and World War II, where we look back on it now, and I thought to myself, we can look back at these pictures in history now. They're in books, and they don't create the same, for the most part, kind of trauma, vicarious trauma that they do as they're happening in the immediacy. And I found myself pondering that one night. And it hit me that the reasoning behind that is because it's not happening. That is not happening now. That has happened then. And this is happening now. This has just happened. We can look back on what has happened in Vietnam and World War II and the Korean War and look at those photographs that people have taken in those moments and be like, oh, I'm distanced from that. But we cannot do that now. And the inability to be able to distance ourselves from what is going on is where a lot of the vicarious trauma comes from. We have a cognitive dissonance that is occurring across the world, I would say. And that dissonance is what people are coming to us asking questions about and trying to seek help for. We have questions, we have a need for answers that aren't going to be found in the media. And I agree with you. Don't look at the pictures. Don't watch the videos, because your answers aren't going to be there. Your answers are going to be more inside of you, and you know, more of an introspection of morality and what you feel about what is happening, not just in the country, but perhaps in the world. That's where we come in. What's happening in Minnesota and the world? I mean, they're in my area where I grew up now, Bristol, Virginia, Kingsport, Tennessee. They're there as well. And all of those places, I mean, we can take all of the pictures that we want, but all it's doing is creating that cognitive the dissonance.
Yeah. So I can give a great example of how giant swaths of Americans are already living with vicarious trauma and probably don't recognize it. 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is. If you were alive enough to have a memory, and I don't mean you were like a baby or like a toddler and whatever. If you were old enough to have memory of 9/11, I said that, and you just concretely, without prompting, recognize where you were. You pulled it up from your memory banks the minute I said that. I didn't have to say, do you remember where you were? The minute I said it, it popped into your head. Okay.
Yep.
You know where you were. That's trauma, my friends. That's trauma. Okay. So keep in mind, everybody, that day, we all collectively as a country got traumatized together. Woo! Yay! Go us. Then for the next, I don't know, month, we watched footage of them cleaning up, finding bodies, doing all of that shit daily, every day on TV, pulling bodies, some alive, some not. We did that for a month or more. It was a long fucking time.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So, ladies, what's the motto of 9/11?
Never forget.
What was that, Bree?
Never for-
Never forget.
Oh, yeah. Never forget. Uh-huh.
No, we still
So,
say it.
we still say it. And every year on 9/11, what do?
We post about it.
We play videos of it. Every year, starting the year after, we played the same fucking footage, the same footage from the day it happened. We've played it every year since then. I now have adult children who were tiny, who don't remember this shit, who have memories of it because of this footage.
Oh, false memory.
Hey, guess what? Vicarious trauma.
Hmm.
Okay. This happens more often than it doesn't because they were little. So we've also made it very fucking un-American to not remember.
Oh, absolutely. It is incredibly patriotic to never forget. And if you don't post about it on social media, then you are not patriotic.
So it is not patriotic to not remember your trauma or to experience vicarious trauma because if you don't remember it, we've now provided you with intimate, detailed videos of people jumping out of fucking buildings to their death.
Can I emote on that for just 1 second? Because
Yes.
I, hmm, that one
Now,
jumper, the picture of the jumper,
yeah.
everybody knows the jumper.
Yes,
I watched that in real time.
I know.
Can't
Same.
get him out of my head.
Nope.
That is the least patriotic thing I can think of. And my heart just breaks for him or her. I think it was a him.
It was.
Not patriotic at all. That was a person who wanted to die on his own terms rather than burn to death or God knows what. Not patriotic, but yeah, we've turned him into a symbol of patriotism
I,
and propaganda.
yeah. And like, I can, to this day, I can watch video up until they hit the point where people start jumping out of windows,
Yep,
and then I can't.
same. Don't want to
I
see it.
can't do it. I can tell you which floor they start jumping. I shouldn't be able to tell you that information, but I can.
I can tell you what I said to my mom when the second plane hit the tower. I mean, we know these things by
Exactly. But my point being is that, like, yes, all of us who are alive for this have the original trauma, and we've continued to relive it every year. So cool, never forget. Um, and I then we have taken an entire another generation of people who should not have trauma from this and have given them the trauma vicarious. Here we are. And then told them it's not patriotic. If they don't have trauma from this, you're not a patriot. So we've doubled down on it, which I can't fucking stand to this day. So I bring this up because this is a real thing that happens for us regularly. And the current events are another way, like another thing that can get added to our vicarious trauma that we have as a country, and we don't need anymore. So when I said earlier, I have enough vicarious trauma, I was really making this. This is, I get enough, like, yes, people tell me their trauma all the time as a therapist, but really, I was really more referring more to like, this 9/11 because it resides with me.
Well, and then you're talking about things that become propaganda.
Well, yes, but we still play the videos, which is still vicarious trauma of like, hey, little children, watch this super traumatic thing.
That's propaganda. Be a patriot.
I know, but it's like it's still traumatic, regardless of how
Uh-huh.
we're phrasing it. The vicarious trauma still exists.
Absolutely. And it's not fair to the kids that are growing up.
No. I have a 16-year-old who learned about it in a textbook, and that's where it should have stayed. He shouldn't have
Yeah.
had to watch video about it. My daughter, who's, 15, shouldn't have had to watch video about it. You shouldn't have to watch the video. They should just read about it.
Well, that's
And that is my problem with how we take some things that, yes, do I think it's important that we do not forget the people who died in 9/11? 100%. But this is not about the people. And I say that because I'll be taking care of the firefighters.
and here's the difference between that and the Holocaust is that we remember the Holocaust, but we are not propagandized into that.
Right, correct. And I will tell you the difference is one of them didn't happen here.
Exactly.
And listen, I believe we should honor memories of people who we have lost in lots of fucked up ways. I do. I don't think we have to be systematically traumatized to do it.
No, we shouldn't. It reminds me of The Giver, that trilogy of The Giver, where,
Hmm.
you know, the kid is the keeper of the memories, and it is a tragic and terrible assignment. And he ultimately ends up breaking out of, you know, you know what I'm talking about. He breaks
Yeah,
and he goes and he gets free because that's not what it's not what it's meant to be. And we we need to keep these memories, but they need to be reverent. And what we are doing by this is not reverent. It is in its own right irreverent.
I agree. So I bring up 9/11 as my example of how vicarious trauma works, how we've had it, how we continue to have it, and how we should be careful moving forward
Hmm.
with the oh, um, evolving levels of violence that are continuing to happen, both here and abroad. I'm not going to downplay that there's not like war happening in other countries and they're, having like those images as well, or, other things aren't happening that we don't also get, or other countries aren't getting as well. And so recognizing there are things globally, um, you know, while, we as Americans think we're the bestest in the whole wide world, uh, we are not the center of the earth, I promise.
Look at
Eh,
us.
I know it's crazy. So crazy.
Look at us making fetch happen.
Oh my God. Not the center of the whole earth.
On Wednesdays, we wear, the flag, whatever.
It's not that I don't love my country. I promise I do. It's why I live here.
Where's Bree? Bree, what do you think?
I
Bree
mean,
was, Bree ran away. She's like, my cats need my love.
what do you mean I ran away? I'm right here. I think 9/11 has always been like one of those weird things because I'm at the age in which I was alive during 9/11, but I wasn't like coherent. I wasn't a person yet. I was, just
Did you say
bumbling.
you weren't a person yet?
I wasn't a
Oh,
person yet.
I was
I,
a fetus.
I was alive, but I wasn't a person yet.
I was
And,
alive, but I wasn't a person.
and I do think it's weird how I can recall like what the situation looked like. And there's really, like you said, Arlene, there's just no reason for that. And it's like putting excess fear into the minds of young kids that this could happen again. And while yes, of course it could happen again, what kind of existence is that where we're fearing for our lives every day? And I feel like you get that all the time on social media with all of these things that are happening, and it's making everything so much scarier than it needs to be. It's
Hmm.
terrifying things that are happening, but we're subjecting ourselves to, I don't know, just so much worse. I am always shocked at like what I'll scroll past on Facebook. There was once, I don't know the word, it's okay, I was being dumb and I was looking for macrame, like old
Oh
older
shit. Oh
ladies,
shit. Oh
older ladies
shit.
tie the ropes together. That's what
Oh
Brianna was
shit.
looking for.
Oh shit.
And apparently, I wound up on a very different group. I was looking for my grandma friends, and I did not find my grandma friends. I
What
found
did you find?
it's like macrame or something, which is like I don't know what it means. All I know is it is not macrame.
You
I thought it
found the
was.
macabre?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh well, see, I don't even know. All I know is
He did not find good stuff.
I did not find my rope tying grandma friends that I was looking for.
She
Okay.
found she found the gothic shit.
She was
So
not prepared.
I was not prepared. And I feel like it was one of those things where like I didn't spend long there at all. But the one
Oh
I just imagine Brie going, "Oh my god, not my group, not my group.
no, literally.
Where's my
But
grandma, friends? Why are you not 90?"
just trying to expand my grandma friends. Um But I can
True.
still like vividly remember the video that like popped up. And this was months and months ago. Like this wasn't a recent ordeal that I went through. This was months and months ago. And I can still remember. And it was such a brief moment of like it's not like I said, it's not like I stood there and hung out for a while. And I feel like it's still to this day shocks me like what you can find on the internet like that and how much it affects you to the point of like I wasn't there for the event, of course, but I can still like remember what happened. And that's like it's crazy for something that I witnessed for just a short period of time in third person. Um yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with this exactly, but I do
But you
feel
got
like
there.
it's scary to just to live in the world that we live in and be exposed to the things that we're exposed to in such HD quality, like this is happening right in front of your own
4K.
right.
So for all of my macabre goth people, how absolute dare you scare my friend? Um,
Listen, she was looking for grandmas. Okay,
I know.
grandmas.
I know. I can only imagine what you found because that must have been terrifying. So dial it down, y'all. Um, but also for the macrame people, can we get some like links for Bree because like let's
I'm still trying
she
to
needs
learn.
she needs some love. So let's
Uh,
send some
Listen, yes, she
macrame.
needs grandma friends.
Macrame.
No macrame.
Not macabre, or as some people put it, macabre.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
No,
That
but
was we're not doing that.
that's a fair point. I mean, we stumble on some stuff, and I mean, I watch found footage horror and where people stumble on this stuff all the time, and they're like, what? And their lives are forever like
Yeah,
changed. It's a real thing, and you can't get it out of your head. And then, if you have OCD, you're like constantly thinking about it on loop.
not just spice it up, add a little sparkle in there, a little pizzazz, throw in
Yeah,
a little OCD and obsess about it.
yeah. Why not?
Hold on. Spice that
So
trauma up with some OCD.
that's a good point, Bree.
Yeah, it's you stumble across a lot of things. Like, one of my clients was like, and I opened up TikTok and watched somebody get murdered against my will.
It's a real thing. Yeah. I did not consent to this.
And I was like, you know what? When you phrase it like that, it is against my will. I don't want to watch half this shit if I'm being real.
No, that's true.
So here we are. And I know the answer is to keep scrolling, but if I open my social media and that's the first video I get, I'm sorry, but I'm stunned.
I am too. I don't know what I'm watching. I'm just like
But
blah 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 blah. Oh, what?
wait, what? I'm confused and I'm stuck here and I'm confused.
What did I just see? What?
Why did I see it? What is happening?
But
So,
it's like anything else, even if you were to actually be in that moment experiencing it, a lot of people's response, it's fight or flight or freeze,
yep.
right?
Yeah.
So even though like you could scroll past it, sure, you could. But at the same time, you could just look away when something tragic happens, but sometimes that's not your response mechanism. Your response mechanism is to freeze. And how are you supposed to like navigate that? It'd be just like experiencing something in the real world and you freeze. It's not your fault. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of circumstance.
For
Yep.
sure. And especially it's sometimes it's even worse when like you're just caught off guard because you're not prepared, right? Because
No, you're
you just stumble into it, right?
just woke
Where
up.
just woke up, opened up TikTok, and you're like, oh, hey, 8 o'clock in the morning. What the fuck?
You don't think it's real for one thing, and so you're like looking
Okay.
at it like, is this real?
And that's a real thing now. Thank you, AI. Um, but like there's just like a whole lot of shit that goes into that. So I get it. It's complicated. It's hard. I think really at the end of this, if you've stuck with us through all of this heavy shit, what I really want to make sure we get across is A, know your limits. B, use fucking tools and skills. Know what helps you because you have to be able to manage how you feel. Um, I think it's important if you already have trauma, like most of us, that you are for real knowing your limits,
Yeah.
listening to yourself, listening to your capacity. If you don't know what that is, then don't. If you don't know your limits and your capacity, don't.
Yep.
Better safe than sorry. I said, listen, do the other thing is like if you want to go down this road, you have a therapist, talk to them about what feels safe, what feels good. Like, I get it, but know these things, figure out what works best for you, use supports. It's don't do this alone.
Yeah.
If you're going to go down these things or they're gonna pop up in your social media and you're just, you're gonna watch the 97th person get murdered on your social media for the fucking year. Because we live in America. Talk to someone, find a friend. Don't just be like, nah, that's another one, because it builds.
Yeah.
You're not as you're not as immune as you think you are.
No, you're not. You're not. And I say that from the perspective of a therapist. I'm not as immune as I think I am. That's why I went to my therapist and I was like, guess what?
Hey.
You know what I was doing. And he was like, oh Lord,
I
hold on
need you to
myself.
know while we were doing this, Holly messaged me to tell me she referred somebody to me. And this is what she said. She said, I explained you to my client. Well, let me see. How do I say this? She's unhinged.
Ha!
What a compliment.
I was like, yeah, thanks. I
Woohoo!
think. So there you go. That's how my friends who are therapists describe me to people they're going to refer to me. I am unhinged. That's my professional stance. I am unhinged, apparently. I mean, I can't lie. That's true.
Aren't we all though?
Welcome to therapy. That's what I need to change my website to be like, welcome to therapy with me. It's slightly fucking unhinged. Fuck. Uh, any final thoughts, ladies?
Um, God, this world's a
I'd like
shit
to
show.
reiterate
Go
that
ahead.
you should be talking to somebody regardless of whatever you're going through. Talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be a therapist. It doesn't have to be somebody professional. Just somebody who can provide love, care, and support. I think is so
Yes,
important.
I agree. I'd
Perfect.
like to build off of that and say, this world is an absolute shit show right now, and we're all messy. So don't be hard on yourself for being messy, man. You don't have to have it 100% together all the time. Nobody does. None of us.
Yeah, I agree. Right? Like nobody's perfect. Not at all. Nobody. So
Even
recognize that. Talk to somebody, find your people, find a good support group, like this one. It's fine.
Yeah.
Um, it's a great support group. It's how we get through life. But also, enjoy what you have. Find the good. That's also important because, as Kelly just said, the world is a fucking shit show. And every day is something fucking new to add to the shit show of shit shows. So please remember, find a friend, find someone, talk to someone. Don't be alone. Don't isolate. That's the worst you fucking can do. Um, and you know, do fun things. I know everything sucks, but find the things in your life that are worth it. Find the fun, do the things, and that's the
Find your
best
blueberry
I can
Red
do.
Bull.
Yes, find
Listen,
Blueberry Red Bull for Bree and
find
macrame
blueberry
group.
Red Bull. Scour the earth for blueberry Red Bull.
Blueberry Red Bull and macrame groups for Bree. Hashtag the hell out
Hashtag
of that.
hashtag Bree needs macrame and blueberry Red Bull. We're on a
Make it a
mission.
thing. Make it a thing.
Oh, that's so funny.
We are on a mission.
Yes, we are.
I swear to God, if somehow somebody messages me and be like, I found blueberry Red Bull, I'm gonna be like, oh my God.
I know. And then
The world is out for Brie. They love her and her
yes.
glasses making or making a blanket or trying to learn
Yes.
macrame, whatever she's doing.
Yep. We're here for you, Bree.
Exactly.
Thanks, friends.
We will find it. We will hunt down the Red Bull warehouse. We will hunt down the Red Bull warehouse. We will storm them for you.
Absolutely.
What else are we doing? It's fun. You know what? We got to take the fun. I told you the fun. We're gonna
Right?
storm the Red Bull warehouse for you because that sounds like fun.
We got to do something.
So, all right, everybody. I appreciate, ladies. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate hanging out and the conversation as usual. Everybody else, thanks for hanging out with us as well. As usual, like, follow, subscribe, share. But with this episode, be careful where you share it. Share it with somebody you know who can handle it. Don't just be like willy-nilly, be like, listen, I know you're super traumatized. Listen to this. I mean, that'd be a dick move. Kind of a dick move. Don't be a
Yeah.
dick. So, but tell people about us. Share the podcast. Let her know. Comment. Find Blueberry Red Bull and macrame groups. We need to.
I'm the one that likes the macabre.
Find that too. Send that to Kelly. But Bree would like to, like, the 90-year-old grandmas who know macrame. It'd be better maybe if she could meet them in person somewhere in Colorado. But hey, online works too. We will find you, old lady, grandma friends, Bree.
I'm on a hunt, by the way, separate and apart.
It's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
On that note, though, I mean it. Thank you, ladies, for hanging out. I appreciate it.
Of course, always.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Unwinding with Support Group. Follow us on Substack. Give us a like, a follow. Give us a comment. Tell us what you hated, what you like, what you want us to talk about next. Let everybody know where they can find us too. But thanks for hanging out with us once again. Thanks for listening to another episode of Unwinding with Support Group. Follow us on Substack. Give us a like, a follow. Give us a comment. Tell us what you hated, what you like, what you want us to talk about next. Let everybody know where they can find us too. But thanks for hanging out with us once again.